This Christmas night, 2025, we welcome you to Collision on TNT and streaming on HBO Max. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, everyone. Along with our resident Scrooge, Nigel McGuinness, I'm Tony Schiavone. For the next 2.5 hours, the stakes are at an all-time high in the Continental Classic. Tonight we find out the 4 men who will reach the semifinals and then the finals at World's End.
Collision opening contest is a Gold League match in the Continental Classic, set for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first from Sydney, Australia, weighing 249 pounds, the Proto Star, Kyle Fletcher.
The Proto Star, Kyle Fletcher, with 6 points. As we mentioned, all 6 men have 6 points each in the Gold League, so this is a make-or-break night for everyone there.
It is a never-before-seen situation in the Continental Classic. All 6 competitors in the Gold League with 6 points, every one of them with the opportunity tonight to advance to the semi-finals. A lot of permutations possible. We'll get into that as these matches advance, but Kyle Fletcher, the man who started this tournament, Tony, fast out of the blocks, winning his first 2 matches and then unfortunately losing the next 2.
Kyle Fletcher, who last year won the Blue League, made it to the semifinals. He had 12 points, more than any wrestler in the tournament. Tonight, he's going to face a man who's red hot as we go back to the ring. Jungle Jack Perry, 2 straight wins in the Gold League, and here is our standings as we talked about. Take a look at all those 6 points, Nigel.
Yeah, you can see all the different permutations, when and where and against whom, but ultimately the only thing that matters is the final column there. Everybody on 6 points. Who will advance?
Darby Allin, we'll be talking more about him and show you exactly what went down last night, a shocking development. But right now, here we go with the Gold League. We're at the Hammerstein Ballroom for the 2nd straight night. It's where we spent our Christmas the last couple of years. Great crowd, a sellout crowd here. Look at the focus on the eyes of Kyle Fletcher.
Fletcher really believed that the Continental Classic was his tournament to lose this year. They are crammed here into this iconic venue. But we are a block or 2 from Madison Square Garden. Number of times I've competed in this arena, and always very special to me.
And the collar and elbow type, here we go. Aubrey Edwards, the referee in this opening bout. So much, as we mentioned, the stakes could not be any higher than they are tonight. So much pressure, so much. You got to say, Nigel, you've been in these big matches before. You got to be nervous, right? People will handle it differently.
People do handle it differently, but definitely those butterflies now. You got to blow them to the wind, get things moving. Oftentimes you'll find people in that position, Tony, they'll start fast, they'll let those nerves get the advantage of them. The seasoned veteran, whoa! Will slow things down. Incredible physique on this young man from Sydney, Australia.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Look at Jack with a great leapfrog and tried a drop kick, but the big guy held onto the far side ropes. So Jack needs to rethink the strategy now as both get a little bit of stare down. As we mentioned, we are less than 48 hours away from World's End. So many matches. Of course, 3 of those will be in the Continental Classic, the semifinals and the finals. As we said, we'll find out the 4 men who will make it. Well, we got 1 man already in, and that is Takeshita.
With 10 points, and one wonders, though, who he will face. So much still to find out here tonight. What an exciting night it is. How was your Christmas, Tony?
It was tremendous.
As always, you get a lump of coal in your stocking?
I sure did. Thank you for asking. This is a highlight. This is the highlight of anybody's Christmas. Not only be sitting home watching on TNT or streaming on HBO Max, but sitting with you, watching these great matches. This is the highlight of my Christmas.
Doesn't speak very well for you, but I'll take it.
We hope everyone out there is having a great Christmas, a great holiday, and moving and pulling back on the leg that time. But we mentioned that we are less than 48 hours away from World's End. Of course, it's at the Now Arena this Saturday in Chicago. Tickets available at AWTIX.com and exclusively on pay-per-view.
Wow, look how aggressive Carl Fletcher is.
Don't forget, we got New Year's Smash coming up this coming Wednesday at Liberty First Credit Union Arena in Omaha, Nebraska. That's on New Year's Eve. And then Collision Residency in January, each and every weekend at East Sports Stadium in Arlington. Tickets at AWTIX.com.
A little mustard. He tries to chop this stuffing. Oof. Out of the Australian opponent.
Ducking low. Up. Trying to tear us. Blocked nicely. Look at this. Big and strong. And a single crab now. And Jack Perry quickly gets to the bottom rope.
Quickly, but look at this. Applying more pressure. Fletcher taking every one of those 4 seconds before risking disqualification. We didn't mention it at the time, but the ankle, the shin of Jack Perry on a number of occasions in previous matches has proved to be a problem.
Absolutely.
An Achilles heel, perhaps literally as well as figuratively.
He is pulling his Kyle Fletcher on the heel, and now somewhat of an ankle lock applied here. Twisting on the ankle. There's just so much a man can take, Nigel, onto his ankle.
We're about to find out how much that is. As young Jungle Jack Perry, who has recently reunited with his big bad monster, Luchasaurus, Jurassic Express. Had some big matchups.
One of the more successful tag teams, there's no doubt about it. Former World Tag Team Champions, Luchasaurus and Jungle Jack Perry. But that knife edge chop has Jack firing back. Jungle Jack again. Oh, the big man's got a knife edge chop. And Jack slumps into the corner.
Fletcher just has such a size and power advantage over Perry. Perry would do very well to stop any attempts to exchange strikes with this man.
Oh, he landed on his feet. He hobbled a little bit that time. He's going to try to do this and take Fletcher on the outside. Perry, in a lot of pain, pulls himself up. You can see it on his face.
Barely able to stand. Is he able to fly?
He's going to try something here. I don't know what once again, they're trying to come right.
We've seen this before.
Bombed him on the apron of the ring. A smile on the face of Kyle Fletcher, but Kyle Fletcher taking a little bit of a blow on the outside there, just trying to regain himself. And Jack Perry, let's take a look at it again, Nigel.
Absolutely devastating power. You can see Jack Perry, nothing he could do. He tried to get his hand up to protect the back of his neck and head from the impact, but only so much you can do for a man as powerful as Kyle Fletcher.
It's a testament to Jack Perry, Jungle Jack Perry, and really a testament to everybody in the Gold League that Jack Perry started out basically 0-1. We mentioned earlier about Darby Allin being injured, and Jack took his place at 0-1, but Jack is still tied for first.
But wait a second.
Did he bite him that time? That's been one of the things he's been doing. It's been working for him. And Jack basically on one leg with knife edge chop, scoop slam. Threw him on the top rope on that left ankle.
We call it a rope. It's actually a cable with a very thin plastic sheath around the outside. The ankle now already damaged. Ooh, you can see the whiplash there. And this certainly isn't going to help. Oh, look at this. Oh, the edge of the steel steps, as sharp as they are, dangerous.
He is trapped as Jungle Jack Perry, and now warning here from Aubrey Edwards. Now, with that one-leg trap, Kyle Fletcher's going to try to take the boot off with that injured left ankle.
What is your problem? I'm taking this boot off. Why are you doing this? What the hell, man? Come on!
The official pleading with Fletcher.
Inside the ring. Come on.
The golden goose of the Don Callis family will not be denied. Trying to focus on the damaged ankle. Oh, there it is. You can see.
See the tape on it.
Well, he's going to stomp on it.
Oh! That time stomping on the shin. Getting the force down, bending the ankle back. And this match will continue on Collision. Stay with us. We are back on Christmas Collision. Here at the Manhattan Center, Hammerstein Ballroom. Big boot from Kyle Fletcher. You're watching a Gold League match in the Continental Classic. Fletcher and a drop kick by Jungle Jack Perry, who is still hurting. Aubrey Edwards going to check in. Heck of an effort put on by Jungle Jack Perry, but he's really hurting, Nigel.
He was able to do this, though, pushing through with adrenaline. That pain coursing through the left ankle, and shin of Perry was able to get up for the dropkick and stun his bigger, more powerful opponent.
Perry now firing back. Forearms, chops.
Ooh, there he goes.
Came up, climbed the turnbuckles, landed, still fighting Jack Perry. But a relentless Kyle Fletcher goes down. The former TNT champion knocked for a loop that time by another former TNT champ.
You can tell how much Fletcher was hurt. Rolling to the outside. Fletcher doesn't do that unless he knows he's in trouble. But wait a second.
This is ill-advised, maybe. Yes, it is. Mazzadona, good. Bulldog.
If Jack Perry wins this match, it'll be a Christmas miracle.
There's no doubt. Kyle Fletcher stumbling, spinning. Here comes Jungle Jack Perry, and there goes Kyle Fletcher.
He's looking for a DDT.
Yes, he is. Or maybe
Instead.
Or maybe a brainbuster. Yes, that's what it is. Sheer drop brainbuster. And now Aubrey just checking to see if Jack is still with us. He may be out.
Very little give on the rampway there. You could see as both bodies collapse. Crunch. No give whatsoever. A very thin carpet on top of wood. Unforgiving for both the man giving and taking.
Kyle Fletcher has 30 overall wins in 2025, second in the men's division, behind only Inosuke Takeshita, who, of course, as we said, is already in the semis. But he will be wrestling here tonight. Oh! 1, 2, not yet. That's disappointment on the face of Kyle Fletcher.
Minor frustration. Certainly. Fletcher, one of 3 Don Callis family members in the Continental Classic this year. Kazuchika Okada in the same Gold League. Takeshita, as we've mentioned before, already advancing to the semis from the Blue League.
Well, obviously, no Don Callis here at ringside, which is great. No Luchasaurus
before the end of the night, though.
Yeah, Luchasaurus at ringside. Oh, the big boot.
Oh, this is it.
Kyle Fletcher with authority and with quickness is up top, looking around at the Hammerstein Ballroom, all 3 levels.
Fletcher was looking for a brainbuster on the top turnbuckle. He's won a lot of matches with it. But instead, he's given Jungle Jack Perry the opportunity. Oh, what is this?
Crawling up his back. Howard bombs him over the turnbuckle. Both men are flat. This is what it's about in the Continental Classic. Once again,
what a way to start out the evening. An incredible first matchup tonight. The decision thereof still hangs in the balance. The left ankle of Jack Perry has hobbled this man for the majority of the match. But time and again, he has come back. Oh,
Try to do the running knee. Uh-oh, down he goes, and there it is again.
5 minutes remaining.
5 minutes remain.
Single leg Boston in a different angle from Fletcher now, and this is the reason why. Able to focus more on the left ankle and shin.
I believe I couldn't tell from this angle, but I believe that, right? Oh, he's reaching for the ropes, got pulled back.
He's going to break his ankle.
And Fletcher was biting the ankle as well, and he stomps on the chest of Jungle Jack Perry.
But wait a second, he got caught.
And trying to snap trap, he got it on!
No!
Who got it on? Look at the face of Fletcher!
This is disastrous for Kyle Fletcher.
Can Kyle Fletcher stay with it? Look at that! Oh, he almost tapped, it looked like!
Well, this is where the strength of Fletcher is going to come in. It is going to take all his energy to drag Perry's body to the bottom rope. He's going out! He's going out! He's too far! Oh, my God!
The left arm is down, the eyes are closed on the head came back. Oh, he got a finger to the bottom. The match goes on. I thought he was out, Nigel.
He looked like it. Clearly only a few more seconds and that would have been the case. But literally by his fingertips, the protostar Kyle Fletcher remains in this match. Jungle Jack Perry, what a match this man is having. What a Continental Classic.
6 matches tonight. All 12 men vying to go on to World's End in Chicago, less than 48 hours away. And look at these two combatants just fight back to their feet. Forearm back and forth they go. Jack relentless. Oh, the boot found its Jack. Fires back. What an opening bell, like you said, Nigel. And now, almost like a half and a half. And now Fletcher with a running boot. Pick up.
Perry is out. Oh, no, he's not.
He's not.
Oh, my God.
Incredibly sends Fletcher down. Will Jack Perry win this or not?
What a moment. Perry doggedly. He's got Fletcher up.
Look at the effort. The effort, yes. Pile driver. 1, 2, 3. No, he didn't get it. Look at the face of Jack Perry. Oh, so close. Oh, my. What a matchup. And there you see Aubrey checking in. We got less than 2 minutes. 2 minutes remaining in this match. Remember, each man will get a point for it. Draw 3 points to the winner. Zilch for the loser.
And with 2 more matches to come tonight in the Gold League, one would have to think, oh, hold on.
That was not 1, 2, no.
At least one other person will get a win.
Focus on again. 1, 2, no, not yet. Match goes on. Sweeps by Jack. No one found its mark and wiped Jack out. And now Kyle Fletcher. Oh, he may be going for the top buckle brainbuster.
Second attempt from Fletcher. And the second time, Perry was able to avoid it.
Less than 90 seconds to go. Jack Perry up on top.
Oh, no.
He went for the foot, did Fletcher.
1 minute remaining.
60 seconds. Can Kyle Fletcher do it? Can Jack Perry hold on?
Got the foot in the face. Here he goes for the brainbuster. I'm sure. Yes. The brainbuster in 1, 2, 3.
Here's your winner, Kyle Fletcher.
Well, congratulations to Kyle Fletcher. He moves on. But what a match. Hats off to both men.
What an incredible match. Jack Perry just unable to hold on to the 20-minute time limit. But as you can see there, Kyle Fletcher, the protostar, moves ahead of the pack. Who will join him? We'll find out not too far from now.
What an effort by both men, and what a way to start this on Christmas night in the Continental Classic.
Roderick Strong, the Continental Classic has not exactly gone your way, but you can still play a huge part tonight in playing spoiler to Claudio Castagnoli. But ahead of your match, somebody actually wanted to speak with you.
Hey, man. You know how bad I wanted to be in this tournament, and you've stepped in, not just because you're my friend, but you're my ride or die. And you say you're doing this for yourself, and I get that, and that's great. Why do I see a shred of doubt in your eyes? You've never doubted me for a second. When I've been hurt, when I've been discouraged, when I've been broken. The Kyle O'Reilly that lost 2 pints of blood and guts and somehow submitted Jon Moxley twice with a bulging disc in my neck and a fractured arm. That Kyle O'Reilly would not exist without you. You've pushed me to become the wrestler, the father, and the man that I am today. So forgive me if I think it's okay to lean on your friends. And despite what you think, the conglomeration are your friends. Listen, I haven't told anybody this, but if you knew how close I was to giving up in those matches with Jon, you'd be looking at me the same way I'm looking at you right now. It's Christmas, Roddy. And I want to see a Christmas miracle. And we don't need a Christmas miracle for you to beat Claudio. You can beat Claudio Castagnoli on your worst night. It will be a Christmas miracle when you get those 3 points and you walk backstage with a smile on your face and you look in the mirror and you see the man that I see. Roderick effing Strong.
Next.
In the Continental Classic, set for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first from Osaka, Japan, weighing 232 pounds. He's the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, the Alpha, Konosuke Takeshita.
You're looking at the first wrestler to clinch a spot in the semifinals. When he got the win last night over Orange Cassidy on Dynamite on 34th Street, we're here on Christmas night. And tonight, what he can do, not only to add more points, he can eliminate Mascara Dorada with the win. Of course, it's not, there's two from each league, as we know. There's a winner and there's a runner-up. So we're not so sure who the winners or runner-ups are.
Certainly is value to winning your league to face the runner-up from the other league. But Dorada not thinking about that right now.
And his opponent from Mexico City, Mexico, weighing 167 pounds. He is a CMLL World Trios and historic welterweight champion, Mascara Dorada.
Let's take a look at this updated blue scoreboard. As you can see, Takeshita with 10. There towards the bottom, Dorada with 6. Can he join Takeshita? To do so, I said it earlier, he has to beat the man ahead of the league, opposite the ring from him, to join him. If that were the case, it would be Takeshita leading the blue league, and Dorada coming in second place.
Dorada would need some help, of course, from Roderick Strong, because Claudio Castagnoli has 7 points, but Dorada would be in second place. Look at Dorada, just so remarkable what the young man could do. Pick up by Takeshita. Ooh, speaking of remarkable athletes, Takeshita hit his lower back on that arm drag down. And very slow now to move back.
One of the reasons Dorada, the golden mask, as the chant of Lucha goes up around the Hammerstein ballroom. So dangerous. As soon as you put a hand on him, he grabs it, falls to his back, and he throws you. Very difficult to grab a hold on this guy without him getting one on you.
Dorada, the first full-time CMLL star to participate in the Continental Classic. And, of course, trying to become the first-time CMLL wrestler to win a championship here in AEW. But, man, look at that is a look of not only a phenomenal athlete, but just a confident athlete. Takeshita helped him up, shook his hand. I'm sure Don Callis would approve of that, but here we go. Kind of a shoulder push over the top goes Dorada. Look at the big man move. Dorada in midair with a somersault, drop step. Up again he goes. Takeshita rolls him up. How about Dorada? 1, 2. He almost stole a win that time. How quick was that, Nigel?
That was fast-paced, exciting and inventive. Yeah, Dorada telling Takeshita, I'm ready to join you, and offering a handshake back to the man who gave one to him.
You know, we often talk about how Kazuchika Okada is the greatest tournament wrestler ever. Well, you're looking at the man who not only won the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, beating, look at that, beating Zack Sabre Jr., but he also won the G1 Climax tournament, so he's had a great tournament year, has Konosuke Takeshita.
I'd certainly say that Takeshita is the pretender to Okada's crown as the greatest tournament wrestler.
Well, that shoulder tackle did not work.
Right again, though, by the looks of things, and same result.
All right, make it 3. Oh, Takeshita followed him in. Smart as well. Was coming out with a lariat. Dorada to the chest, to the knee, it appeared. Bouncing off to the top, to the turnbuckle. Takeshita tried to knock him off, but still balanced.
Watch this.
Springboard. Wow. Using what's available that time was Dorada. Into a Hurricane Rana. Takeshita circles around to the right side. And he's going to be chased here by the masked man.
The agility of Mascara Dorada, almost second to none. Take a look at this. Big risk, big risk.
It's up on top of the ring post. Booming the big risk, you're right. He missed. And this match continues on Collision on TNT and HBO Max. The Continental Classic continues on this Christmas night here on Collision. Tony and Nigel with you, and right now the Blue League battle between Dorada, who is fighting to stay alive, and the leader and the man who's already in the semifinals, Konosuke Takeshita.
He tried it before, and now he's taking an even bigger risk. This is incredible.
His back.
Oh, he landed it.
Unbelievable. That Dorada would take that risk from the top of the ring post and connect with Takeshita, but you got to get in the ring.
Well, last night you might have looked out your window and seen Santa's sleigh flying through the sky. Tonight it's Mascara Dorada, a beautiful arc through the heavens.
Now he's going to go up top, come into the ring.
I got it. 1, 2, go. Dorada, big task ahead of him, but he scored an upset already against Castagnoli. More than capable of doing it again tonight.
Forearm shot after a couple of kicks. Down to one knee goes Takeshita. Oh, holding on to Dorada, who lands on his feet yet again. Springboard to the middle.
Oh, thunder cover.
Thunderbomb to how about that kick out? Legs went right straight up in the air by Dorada, and he stays alive.
But for how much longer? Takeshita now starting to find his second wind, clearly in his wheelhouse.
A chant we have heard around the world, literally. This is awesome, and boy, are you right on target by saying this is awesome for the Continental Classic. Incredible action. Thrust kick. Up on top, this time caught by the big guy.
Wait a second. Oh, God. Poison Ryan is somehow
Into a destroyer, and now 1, 2. The match goes on.
an incredible couple of maneuvers there. Poison Rana hit first of all, and I have no idea how. But take a look, Takeshita pushed through with that Bushido fighting spirit. Beautiful lariat taking down his opponent.
Takeshita tries to measure Dorada, who moves, who's up top. Takeshita grabs the leg. Buckle bomb, basically. Back of the head to the top turnbuckle. Takeshita now feels the end is near for Dorada.
Could be looking for that Falcon Arrow that he has used. Oh!
I tried to block it, did Takeshita.
Raging Fire Falcon Arrow has certainly paid dividends for Takeshita, but right now...
10 minutes have gone by. 10 minutes remaining.
You just heard it at the halfway point. The first match ended right in under a minute, and now, in the second half of this 20-minute match, who will win this blue league? No, not yet.
An adjustment from Dorada to land on his feet, but he's got caught now. Oh, this doesn't look good. Oh my God.
One. Now, one, 2, 3. Dorada fighting for his life to stay alive in this tournament. With a kick to the face of Takeshita. Running shooting star. 1, 2, go.
Oh, this young man is showing me something. Pushing through here, absorbing a lot of punishment.
Yeah, just think who he's absorbing the punishment from. The great IWGP World Heavyweight Champion.
With the legs on the outside, Dorada's not going to get a Hurricane Rana from here, I shouldn't imagine.
Well, Takeshita stands up.
Dorada, oh, well, look at this. Oh, my gosh.
Dangerous for both men, but this is what it's about, the Continental Classic.
Calls for the lariat.
Boom!
Hits it.
Gigantic avalanche lariat. Takeshita! The running knee strike.
He's not done.
This
He wants to make a statement.
An amazing match. Up. There it was. 1, 2, 3.
Here's your winner, the Alpha, Konosuke Takeshita.
The Raging Fire Falcon Arrow. Second time he attempted it. He hit it perfectly. Let's take a look now at the updated scoreboard. It doesn't get much better than that.
Wow.
Takeshita miles ahead of the pack with 13 points. The only blemish, a draw on his record against Castagnoli. Certainly has to go in as one of the favourites in the semi-finals. Who, however, will he face?
For Mastar Dorada, he has been eliminated from the tournament. It was a heck of an effort. And fans, we want to remind you what excitement we have tonight, and remind you that you're watching AEW on TNT. And it's brought to you by Progressive Insurance, offering 24/7 protection when you bundle home, auto, and motorcycle. Learn more at Progressive.com. So much more to come. We're going back to another Blue League match next on Collisions. The Continental Classic continues here on this Christmas night on TNT and streaming here on HBO Max. It is time for another Blue League, and it's a big one as we go back to the ring.
This is a Blue League match in the Continental Classic, set for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first, from Lucerne, Switzerland, weighing 252 pounds, he is the CMLL World Heavyweight Champion, Claudio Castagnoli.
We take a look at the updated Blue League. You can see Castagnoli here, as I said, he's primed to advance with 7 points. He can make it impossible for anyone to beat him if he can secure a victory and 3 points against his opponent here tonight. His opponent he didn't mention Roderick Strong at 0 points there is unable to advance, but he can certainly stop Castagnoli from doing that. And given what happened to Roderick Strong's best friend Kyle O'Reilly, certainly Strong with that incentive to do just that.
We mentioned Roddy can become the spoiler.
And his opponent from Tampa, Florida, weighing 203 pounds, Roderick Strong.
Sometimes they say the eyes can tell a million stories, and you can just see it on Roddy Strong's face. He is determined not to get out of this tournament without scoring some points. If he can win, if he can possibly win, then he would open the door for Orange Cassidy and or Jon Moxley to move on. But a win by, as you mentioned, a win by Claudio Castagnoli would close the door. He would be in the finals.
Well, even if Roderick Strong can force a draw from Castagnoli. Whoa! Not like that, though.
1, 2. Trying to end it right there, and not a bad move. Look at him go. Wow.
What a great fast start from both men.
Well, you were talking about a draw, Nigel.
Looks like Roderick Strong wants all 3 points there.
Right.
We heard Kyle O'Reilly talking to Strong earlier, saying he saw doubt in his eyes.
Wow.
Awkward landing there for Strong as Castagnoli, the linchpin.
Claudio
Off the
can
death
his place and whirls in with a win. One might have it here, 2, and no, it still goes on. We are less than 48 hours away from World's End.
We will see both the semi-finals and the finals. Here we go, cover.
1, 2. Oh, Roddy relentless, and so is Claudio, the big man, with a European uppercut way down low. 1, 2. Boy, Roddy just got a push out, trying to roll out of the way of the onslaught.
Interesting strategy here from Castagnoli. Usually the man to take things slowly, very methodical, but he has pushed the pace. This one, and I'm sure if I was Roderick Strong, I would not expect that out of Castagnoli, and perhaps that's the reason that Strong struggling to get back and beat the official count. And currently up to 4.
Yeah, think about this. A draw would give Roddy only 1 point. Would give Claudio 8 points. So Claudio cannot have a draw. He'd be eliminated, right?
I mean, it's a risk.
Well, of course, it depends on what happens in the last match. It could be a draw there.
Exactly. Right. Need to draw from Cassidy and Moxley to be able to advance.
Yeah, so many combinations, Nigel, as you know, and that's one of the things that makes this round-robin tournament so incredible. You just look around and you try to count up points. You try to see who's in the lead or who can win, who can lose. Pick up, Roddy!
Certainly a lot of intriguing possibilities as Roderick Strong looking for his first 3 points in the tournament after he took his friend Kyle O'Reilly's place in the tournament after the Death Riders had ostensibly taken away the physical ability of O'Reilly to compete.
Hammer throw in the corner, and he'll follow Roddy in. Claudio once again follows Roddy in. Another hammer throw. Roddy hits. Roddy comes up with a kick. Rising strike. Roddy will hit the far side. Oh, he got the knee up. How about that? Roddy with another knee. Just when Claudio was going to hit him with an uppercut on the way down.
Lightning flash. Jumping knee strikes, and there without the knee pad. Cover.
1, 2. Oh, my God. Watch this. Roderick Strong.
Here's your winner, Roderick Strong.
Drop the knee pad.
Oh, but the Death Riders aren't going to let that hang.
There you see it. Danny Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, Marina Shafir. The match is over.
Shafir chasing the official out so the Jackals can devour.
Reach for the sky, boy. Wait a second.
That's the music of only one man. the TNT champion, Mike Briscoe.
He brought his Yuletide log.
He certainly did.
He's not going to set it on fire.
We'll set some sides of heads on fire. Claudio just realizing what happened. He can't believe it. Neither can we.
Well, certainly an upset that early in the match. Castagnoli started fast, but it was Roderick Strong who ended fast with the knee strike. But wait a second. Shafir has her own problems.
It's timeless Toni Storm.
Last night on Dynamite, Shafir knocked out the former AEW Women's Champion.
I think she had a handful of pearls wrapped around her fist or something.
Shafir having to be restrained by Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia.
Timeless Toni Storm standing in the ring, shaking the hand of Mark Briscoe. Shake her hand, Mark. Whoa! Little bit more than a handshake. As the Death Riders look on, a celebration in the ring, and what a win it was for Roderick Strong. Here's a look at the Blue League standings. Claudio still has 7. Roderick will finish with 3 points and a big win for him. Wow. And fans, now let's take another look at the challenge to FTR laid out by the Bang Bang Gang for World's End.
FTR, you're the best tag team in the world. But you weren't the best tag team in Manchester, England.
1, 2, 3, yeah!
No. Foot on the ropes as he hit the count.
Your shoulders were on the mat. I don't care if your foot was on the rope. I say let's get rid of the ropes. Let's get rid of the rules. It's the Christmas season, and it's better to give than receive. So FTR, why don't you give us another title shot? And we will give you an ass kicking.
Show up in Chicago for a Chicago street fight. And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you. Guns up! A Chicago street fight at World's End. Bang Bang Gang, we accept. However, I have a question for you, Juice. I have a question for you, Austin. How can you go to bed at night? How can you put your head on a pillow and close your eyes, knowing that you're begging week after week after week, asking for chance after chance after chance? I mean, FTR, they would accept their L's like real men. So we will see you this Saturday. We have to add one last thing. One last thing. Whatever FTR does to you on Saturday, the greatest tag team alive today, they will not be held liable. Top guys out.
Stokely, the Chicago Street Fight is coming up Saturday at World's End for the World Tag Team Championship against the Bang Bang Gang.
The last time these two people faced off, that certainly was a controversial ending. We're going to get a clear winner and a loser come Chicago.
Also come Chicago, it's for the AEW Women's World Championship. This is going to be a battle. 2 of the strongest, 2 of the most powerful.
No question about it. The former AEW Women's Champion, Jamie Hayter, is coming for Chris Statlander's AEW Women's World title.
Let's take a look at that matchup coming up in less than 48 hours.
Jamie, go ahead and hit me with every lariat that you want. I will keep getting back up. And maybe if you learned how to do that too, you'd still have this.
Thank you very much for the motivation, Stat. Truly, I appreciate it. But you ain't my therapist. So why don't you focus on yourself, yeah? I'm not here to shake your hand. I'm not here to have a classic. And I'm definitely not here to have a lesson from you.
My sob story is over. But if you want to keep yours going, I have no problem making you cry about it.
I'm here to win my world title back. Nothing more, nothing less. It really is as simple as that. See you at World's End, mate.
Chris Statlander, Jamie Hayter for the Women's World Championship coming up this Saturday.
This is a Gold League match in the Continental Classic set for 1 fall with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first from Atlanta, Georgia, weighing 211 pounds, the Jet, Kevin Knight.
Well, this next match in the Gold League kind of gets down to a very simple strategy. And we'll show you the Gold League standings here in a few moments. Basically, you lose, you're out.
It is certainly do or die for both men in this competition. Earlier tonight, we saw Kyle Fletcher score the win and get the 9 points. Will the Death Rider join him there? Moment for reflection. An upset loss last night. Has to expunge that here.
And his opponent from Newcastle upon Tyne, England, weighing 217 pounds, the Bastard Pac!
Let's take a look at the league if we can. The updated scorecard. As I mentioned, you can see there in the middle, Kyle Fletcher with 9 points. Everybody else with 6. Jack Perry can't join him, but Kevin Knight can, as can his opponent. Pac slowly making his way down here to ringside. One wonders, after Claudio Castagnoli started fast in his match with Roderick Strong and came up a cropper, as we like to say in England, the Pac will do the same thing.
Just to get you up to date on what's going to transpire coming up at World's End, the winner of the Blue League will go on to face the runner-up in the Gold, and the winner of the Gold League will face the runner-up of the Blue, and then the winners of those two matches, which are the semifinals, same night will vie for the Continental Championship coming up at World's End. And we know about the four-way match for the AEW World Championship. We just saw about the Women's World Title. We know there's going to be a Chicago Street Fight. The AEW Women's World Championship will be on the line as well.
Not only that, the first title defense of the inaugural AEW Women's Tag Team Champions, the Babes of Wrath, that we will hear from not too long.
Kevin Knight has been nothing less than a sensation since arriving. There's no doubt his biggest AEW wins have come in this tournament against Darby Allin and, of course, Kazuchika Okada, which I really think, not to downplay what Kevin Knight, great athlete he is, but that was a major upset.
Certainly can make an argument, one of the biggest upsets in the tournament. Kevin Knight, a man who spent plenty of time in Japan. Imagine how much it meant for this young man to score a victory over someone with that level of prestige and championship caliber.
Yeah, Kevin Knight, a two-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So as you said, he has had plenty of experience in Japan. And now the man who I still feel is pound for pound the best wrestler I've ever seen in my life. And that is Pac, or I should say the most dangerous wrestler I've ever seen in my life.
Certainly the prototype, a hybrid performer, has speed, power, technique, everything you want from a pro wrestler.
A long drag twist, and once again, and again, yanking down on the arm of Pac.
And trying to pull that arm out of the socket, weaken it perhaps for a submission. Knight's not known for it, but certainly one would think that Pac may not expect it out tonight, and therefore maybe... Whoa, hold on.
One. And they got a one count that time. Fans want to remind you that we are going to be at the BOK Center in Tulsa for Dynamite Wednesday, January 7th. Then Maximum Carnage, Dynamite and Collision at the Arizona Financial Theater in Phoenix, Wednesday, January 14th. Dynamite comes to Orlando, the Edition Financial Arena, on Wednesday, January 21st. Tickets available, as always, at AEWTIX.com. Well, that means Bandito and Maximum Carnage are going to get that world title shot that he earned by winning the Dynamite Diamond Ring just last night, right here at the Manhattan Center.
Certainly begs the question who he will face if Samoa Joe, the recently crowned AEW World Champion, three former champions as the case may be, actually gunning for him. But Adam Page, the Swerve Strickland we knew about, MJF coming back into the fold and inserting himself into the title picture. Ooh, what an exciting time here. Who will go into 2026 as the AEW World Champion?
We're going to find out. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, and it's worth mentioning again, we're going to finish the year out with our New Year's Smash Dynamite this coming Wednesday in Omaha, the Liberty First Credit Union Arena. Join us on New Year's Eve in Omaha and on TBS and HBO Max. And right now, I think a pretty smart move here. The momentum was shifting away and was headed towards Knight, and Pac's just going to walk it off.
Heavily muscled Newcastle native, slowing things down, taking a little momentum away, and there, it was the momentum of Knight's body that collided with the turnbuckles.
Head first. Fans, don't forget that World's End is coming up. Less than 48 hours. It'll be 8 o'clock. Available on pay-per-view, 8 o'clock Eastern time, 7 Central, and be preceded by our 0 hour that begins at 7 o'clock Eastern and 6 Central. Look at this. Kevin Knight trying to go blow for blow with Pac. And Pac's going to try to send him to a turnbuckle. Look at that. Back of the leg. So just texting.
Pac using his significant strength advantage here to take down his arguably, and I do say arguably because Pac can match most people in any asset. A bit of trash talk. I couldn't hear exactly what he was saying, but trying to get in the head of Knight, who at this juncture has to realize what he's up against.
Kevin Knight. Oh, man. Speaking of getting somebody's dander up. And that time, Kevin Knight even said, hit me. And, of course, Pac did not waste any time.
Knight with a height advantage over Pac. That gives him some leverage, perhaps. And whoa,
how about that
striking range?
Kevin Knight is so explosive and so exciting to watch. And Pac seems in trouble here. Nope. Well, yeah, maybe so. He hit the apron, landed on his feet, did Pac, and then moves out of the way again. Kevin Knight ducking. Kevin Knight up on top. Oh. That jump up in the air, almost reminiscent of his UFO splash, but he comes down with a leg.
Such agility from this young man with ease coming off the apron. Simple clothesline. But now looking to follow up, and Pac's not moving. Oh, yes, he is. Couldn't see it from your screen, but Pac rolling to the outside for a little respite. Will he get it? No! He won't! Stuck the landing and took down his more powerful opponent. Take a look at this. Soaring through the air with the greatest of ease. And connecting right beneath the jaw. Oh, again.
Up top with a pendulum DDT. 1, 2. And Pac is out of it. Kevin Knight a little frustrated, though. Shaking it off. Remember, it's a 20-minute time limit. If Kevin Knight wins, he'll have 9 points. If
Kyle Fletcher at the top of the league.
Right. He won earlier tonight in a classic against Jungle Jack Perry. And now, is this good strategy or not against Pac?
Depends how much energy Pac has absorbed.
Wow, that one rocked the head. Snapmare takeover, and this match continues on HBO Max and on TNT. A count. 1, 2. We'll be back. Stay with us. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Tony and Nigel back with you on Christmas Collision. We have just passed the halfway mark. Here's some of what went down during our break, Nigel.
Now you see Pac here, took all the time in the world, made sure there was no way Kevin Knight could move out of the way, and executed a pinpoint precision missile drop kick off the top.
Elbow found the face of Pac. And that time the foot from Kevin Knight, and here goes Knight again, just firing back on Pac.
Glancing blows from Knight. Has to be careful. He doesn't want to break his fist. Whoa!
Kevin Knight.
Jaw of Pac with that leaping clothesline.
Again, the 6 points for Kevin Knight came against Darby Allin and Kazuchika Okada. Pac sending the man in. There's a kind of a UFO splash. Off the middle
turnbuckle thereof, but not enough. Oh, yes. Not today, sunshine. Pac now back. Oh, wait a second.
Conrado off the top incredibly, and Pac hit his lower back.
I wish that rhymed. UFO.
1, 2. 2 count that time. The wins for Pac have come across against, I should say, Speedball Mike Bailey and Kyle Fletcher. So those are the 6 points for each man. And once again, Kyle Fletcher with a win earlier tonight leads the gold with 9.
Knight poised. But so was Pac.
Banderas on the top to the rope. Rolls through. Oh, Pac does it over the top. Steps floor. Over the top of the ring post. And as you can tell, Stephon Smith is checking on Kevin Knight. What a...
see that from a different angle.
God, what a spill.
A backdrop of sorts from Pac. And that's perhaps sometimes the problem with someone so agile. You can propel them in offense as well as defense. Just take a look at this. I'm not sure what Knight had in mind, but it was clear what Pac did. Propelling Knight over the top. Here from a different angle, you can see a very awkward landing.
Oh, God.
Knight trying to collect himself on the ringside steps, but just too much momentum. He's broken it.
Wow.
The count.
I thought for sure that was it. My God, what an effort. What determination by young Kevin Knight. Just to, wow. But an elbow found its mark. Just to get back in the ring, Kevin Knight. Remember, 6 points for each man. 3 points on the line with a win. We are over past the halfway point of this 20-minute matchup. What a throw. An avalanche throw that time by the Bastard. And just moving himself. 1, 2. No, Kevin Knight's out. Pac obviously having some problems with his lower back.
Yeah, I think Pac must have injured himself as well with that overhead belly-to-belly of sorts from the top rope. Once both men were up there in position. Hold on a second.
Trying for the brutalizer. Kevin Knight knows it. Knight fighting to get to the ropes, and he does.
An immediate break for doing so from Pac. Unexpected, perhaps. But Pac looking to follow up quickly.
Wrong shots here from Kevin Knight. Pac ate him and then hit him in the gut with the boot. Reverse. And no! Pac holds on to that far side rope.
Well, wait a second. Pac's won a lot of matches with this.
Nobody
builds up momentum. Rope to rope and then...
Kevin Knight came away with that. No one gets the ropes like Pac. It's so hard. Gets so much momentum like you talked about, Nigel.
Well, that played into Kevin Knight's advantage, who was lying in wait with the drop kick, and now perhaps a second.
Up on top.
Oh, get the F out of here.
Pick up. 1, 2.
Whoa, just unable to get anything, any body weight on the shoulders of Pac. And the only way you can beat a man like that, Tony, is if you knock him out cold. The Newcastle native still alive and breathing in this one.
Sense of urgency for both men. We are now under 5 minutes to go.
Kyle Fletcher leading the Pac. He would certainly love a draw here. At that point, that would pretty much guarantee him. Well, advancing. Look at The Permunations still in the Gold League by way of everybody starting out with 6 points, but right here, not thinking about permutations.
Yes.
A vicious German suplex on the outside. Someone's very unhappy at ringside.
Pac was not on sturdy legs and he was getting back up. Speaking of not being sturdy, at a 3 count, says Stephon Smith.
Up to 4 now. That is 5.
Remember, a count out will give Pac a win, thus 3 points.
7. 8. Oh, he's dropped down.
He barely got in.
By the skin of his teeth. But wait a second. You said it before.
He's going to the Black Arrow here. He's got to be going for it. Oh, no. Kevin Knight is up. He sprung to the top.
In one leap.
Unbelievable.
If the lower back of Pac was hurting before, when he executed the belly to belly, now it has got to be screaming in pain. You can see Pac trying to move his fingers there, trying to get a little bit of feeling back. Speaks to neck damage perhaps, but look at the agility. In one seamless bound, Kevin Knight to the top rope, and then the perfect execution of the superplex.
Agility and balance as well, Nigel. Not only to leap up there, but to stay up there.
It certainly speaks to the phrase AEW, where the best wrestle.
We have passed the 5-minute mark, and we are getting close to the end of this one, I would think. Forearm shots, back and forth they go. Look at this, if you will. Pac swings around with that back kick of his. And once again, this one to the gut.
Wow. Pac has put such a precedence on strikes in this match. Whoa! Wow. It paid dividends, but time and again, Kevin Knight has endured and come back into this match.
Less than 2 minutes to go, Nigel. A sense of urgency for both men.
Oh, here we go.
Want to go coast to coast with that kick. If he connects, it could be the end of the match.
It's a long way. 18-20 fades.
Oh, it connected. Kevin Knight, he may be going for the UFO splash right here. Glanced around quickly.
Pac hasn't moved.
There it is. Oh, the Nova knees got up. The roll up. 1, 2. Kevin Knight's out.
Time's ticking away.
We're heading towards the 1-minute mark of this match.
This is when Kyle Fletcher kicked it into a higher gear.
That's right.
To win our opening match. Second time.
There's the 1-minute announcement, and there's a little bit. 1, 2. Kevin Knight pushes it.
3 points on the line. Which of these two men can join Kyle Fletcher at the head of the Gold League?
He's going for the Black Arrow. He's going to end it right now.
If he hits this.
Balance. Oh, it is. Oh, no. The knee's got up.
30 seconds remaining.
2. Oh, the match goes on. The match goes on. 30 seconds. 1, 2. No. The match continues. 20 seconds to go. 20 seconds. A roll up. 1, 2. Under 15 now. A bridge. And
10 seconds.
he's going to the brutalizer. 10 seconds.
He's got it.
Under 10. 5, 4.
He says no.
2, 1. There's the ball. Did he tap or not? Did he say yes? I'm not sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time limit has expired. This match is a draw.
Each man will get 1 point, but that's not good news for either man, Nigel.
You can see why now as we look at the updated bracket. You can see both Knight and Pac on 7 points. With Fletcher on 9, that means our remaining match in the Gold League is the opportunity for both men to advance.
Well, it's going to be do or die a little bit later, as we know, for Speedball Mike Bailey. A stare from Pac. And both men, now as we said, with 7 points. All right, fans, a whole lot more to come in the Continental Classic. Plus, we're going to see the Women's World Tag Team Champions, the Babes of Wrath. Stay with us. You here on an incredible night on
Fools. You don't get it. Bigger things to worry about than Gabe Kidd. I can hear Darby's head clattering off the stairs. I can feel the body bag ripping from beneath me. This is my problem with you clowns. This is my problem. This is the same problem I had when I was locked up in the psych ward. You're not listening to me. You would all get it if you listened. You would understand if you listened. I said I can see the ice cracking from beneath him. I said Darby Allin isn't indestructible. And what's happening now? He's laying up in the ICU, unable to move. And that prompts the question. How is Darby Allin going to answer my challenge if he's unable to move in a hospital bed? How?
Oh, wait. What's going on?
Wait a minute.
He's not in the ICU.
He's got the answer. Look at Darby. Darby just got clearance back, was thrown down the stairs, as we saw on Dynamite, and get kids laughing at him. Yes, it's Sting's bat.
Whoa. Allin, who's clearly not 100%, swinging for the fences.
This Saturday, it's your world's end.
It is official, fans. Gabe Kidd, Darby Allin, one-on-one this Saturday at World's End. Also at World's End, the team of Athena, the Ring of Honor Women's World Champ, and TBS Champ Mercedes get a shot at the Women's World Tag Team Championship. When you have Athena or when you have Mercedes Moné, you have a good chance of winning a match.
If these two women get on the same page, they would be unstoppable.
Oh, wow! They pinned Willow!
Willow Nightingale is stunned as we are.
World's End is around the corner.
Can you imagine Athena and Mercedes Moné as the AEW Women's Tag Team Champions?
Mercedes Moné and the forever ROH champion Athena versus those hussies of wrath for the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship.
I love the sound of that.
Introducing first, Hyan and Maya World.
A very festive attire for this exciting new team. Hyan and Maya World, both talented, credible competitors who competed all over the world, and as a team have really impressed against the British champion Alex Windsor and the former AEW Women's champion Riho. Marina, Anna Jay and Ty Mello took a while to beat them. And here come the AEW Women's Tag Team Champions.
They are the AEW Women's World Tag Team Champions, Willow Nightingale and Harlan Cameron, the Babes of Wrath.
Professional wrestling in its purest form. It's fun. It's fun for us as announcers, for fans. And the description of fun is what you're seeing in the ring right now.
Everybody getting involved. They're infectious. Not the way Toni Storm is.
Wow. How about Toni Storm coming out tonight, huh?
How about that? Taking it to Marina Shafir.
Standing there.
It won't be long until they face off again.
Absolutely. Standing there with, of course, as we get ready to go in this tag team matchup.
Big matchup here for Hyan and Maya World.
Crashing like you've hit a wall after your energy drink. Breakthrough and I drink the clean, crash-free productivity drink that enhances focus and stamina without caffeine or stimulants. Order now at idrink.com. On Amazon, enter AEW 15 off for 15% off.
Start here for Hyan against Harley Cameron, who's really shown such improvement. Cover.
Great sling blade that time. Maneuver by Harley Cameron.
Some fast tags here, which of course they are going to need come World's End. Well, they will be defending their titles against the highly credible team. Cover.
1, 2, and a 2 count.
Of Athena, the forever Women's Ring of Honor World Champion. And Mercedes Moné, TBS champion, as well as, 11 other title belts she carries around with her.
Yeah, she, of course, as we know, lost that recently, the World Television Championship, Women's World Television Championship, or Ring of Honor. Look at this. Team Kazuchika into a splash. 1, 2.
With those losses, though, which weren't insignificant, she, being Mercedes Moné, does have a pinfall victory against one half of the AEW Women's Tag Team Champions.
And also, of course, it was the undisputed Rev Pro British Women's Championship that she lost. We were in Manchester. Now a little double team work here from the Babe Giraffe.
Well, certainly shown great cohesion. Very likeable team. Harley Cameron herself. Here it comes. Oh, Babe Giraffe.
How about that? Both Maya World and Hyan go down. And this match, continues. Stay with us on Collision. Babes of Wrath taking on Hyan and Maya World. And right now, Hyan caught in the corner, courtesy of Willow Nightingale. 0 hours coming your way 1 hour before World's End this Saturday at 7/6 Eastern. And we got one match to announce. First to cover, 1, 2. A little misdirection that time. Maya World and Hyan will take on the Sisters of Sin. That match signed for 0 hour, 1 hour before World's End. Less than 48 hours away. Here's a roll-up. 1, 2. Reversal that time. And a rolling elbow shot. 1, 2. Hyan almost got the pin that time. How about that?
And miscalculation there on the part of Hyan. Not getting any body part across the shoulders of Nightingale, who's too powerful to be pinned like that.
Double team. Pick up. Would you look at the strength of Willow Nightingale?
The Babe with the power. Tagging in. Harley Cameron, too sweet to be sour.
Harley, Willow. Harley. Willow pick up. Backbreaker. And
what is
now,
this?
Little double team move here. Look at that. A double team senton. 1, 2. No, and a save. Hyan out of the corner. The match goes on.
Well, the World Tag Team Champions have certainly been working on moves.
The pounce. The pounce. Hyan all the way out of the ring.
That one's been in Nightingale's repertoire for a while. Well, but Nightingale turning her back.
Maya World got a knee. Double team. Little soul food. Combination. 1, 2, 3.
Here are your winners, the Babes of Wrath.
Well, you gotta admit, the Babes of Wrath were pushed, no doubt. But they come up clean and will go into the World Tag Team Championship title defense on Saturday with a lot of momentum.
An important victory for the Tag Team Champions. Building some momentum, some confidence. But Athena and Mercedes Moné will be coming for the titles.
No doubt about that. And the ladies have the microphones.
New York! All right, gather around, everybody. All right, let's all curl up by the Christmas fire. All right? Perfect. The babes here would like to tell you a little Christmas story.
Yes, a little Christmas story about two girls. Let's call them Hilo and Wally. Yes? Okay. Yes. They bought two very affordable tickets to see All Elite Wrestling at Hammerstein. And then they went on a little Christmas adventure.
Yes, these two girls traversed the city, saw all of the New York landmarks. Central Park, Empire State Building, even Eddie Kingston's mother's house.
And when they finally saw the big Christmas tree, they also ran into a scraggly but magical man. Let's call him Santa. Huh? Willoughby Santa.
Oh, okay. Take a seat. Hello, little girl. What would you like for Christmas?
Oh, Santa, I've already got everything I could ever want for Christmas. But, Santa, what do you want for Christmas?
I suppose all people across the land to live in peace and harmony.
Yeah.
Except in Chicago at World's End, when we beat the absolute, ever-loving out of Mercedes and Athena.
Oh, yeah! Santa, this one is for you. Who are we? Babes! And what do we have? Wrath! And when the world ends, we will still be your AEW Women's World Champions!
The babes are live, getting ready for World's End in less than 48 hours. Still to come, the final match in the Gold League in our main event. But next, the final match in the Blue League. It's Jon Moxley, Orange Cassidy next. Christmas Collision rolls on. Who will go on as we go to the ring?
This is the final Blue League match in the group round of the Continental Classic, set for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first, from wherever, weighing whatever, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy!
Orange Cassidy makes his way to the ring for this important match. Let's go to Renee Paquette. Renee.
Moxley said that he is very aware how much Orange Cassidy has matured as a competitor into the upper echelon of talent here. And these two share such a history that this could really boil down to who still has a surprise up their sleeve. Jon said that he will produce the points that he needs through sheer force of will if necessary. Orange said, all right, cool.
What an intimidating figure rising up from the bowels of the building.
And his opponent from Cincinnati, Ohio, weighing 231 pounds, Jon Moxley!
Let's take a look at the updated sports scoreboard, if you will. And as you said, Tony, you could see Takeshita leading by a mile with 13 points, but more importantly, Castagnoli there with 7. Outside of a draw between Moxley and Cassidy tonight, which would mean a 3-way draw, one of these men will join Takeshita.
3-way draw would give Claudio 7, Moxley 7, Orange Cassidy 7. Tiebreaker goes to Claudio as he defeated both men in this tournament. So Claudio watching on. He's cheering, I guess, for a 20-minute time limit.
And certainly deep down, a Swiss native will like that. But Moxley, who to some extent has had trouble maintaining his image as an unbeatable fighter, suffered the loss that we've talked about to Kyle O'Reilly. The ankle thereof, Moxley, not 100%, but getting revenge straight away. The Death Riders took out Kyle O'Reilly, so he couldn't even compete in this tournament.
Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley both with 6 points. Each got 3 points against same opponents, Roderick Strong and Mascara Dorada. Once again, a time limit draw would make it a three-way tie for second with Moxley, Castagnoli, and Cassidy, but it would go to Castagnoli with the tiebreaker. Roll up, 1, 2. Holy smokes, it almost ended right there. Trying the orange punch, missed. Jon Moxley with a pickup, no. Maybe a beach break coming down that. Nope.
Both men looking for their high-impact maneuvers early on. For Orange Cassidy, who suffered a lot of punishment in this in this tournament. Here we go.
A roll up, 1, 2.
Certainly would be my strategy going into this. Try to end it quickly. The longer it goes, the more it favors. Whoa! For the Death Rider. Implant DDP.
Yep. Orange wrestled Takeshita last night. Orange shot. Look at Orange fight, man. He is taking the fight right to Jon Moxley. And something that I'm sure Jon Moxley expects, right? He wants you to bring the fight to him.
He certainly does, but there is big-time urgency from both men in this match. They want to move forward into the semi-finals. Just 2 days away at World's End, both semi-finals and the final of the Continental Classic. So one has to think, Tony, if there are injuries, if there is punishment dished out,
right,
people are still going to be feeling it come Chicago.
Yes, that's right. We are now, as we've mentioned many times, Wolf mentioned again, less than 48 hours away, and that shoulder crashed in to the steel steps.
Moxley there, we talked about the damage to his ankle. Wanted to make sure that neither his ankle or his legs, for that matter, clattered into the ringside step, and so in doing so, had to use his shoulder to break the momentum.
Moxley goes head first to the safety rail. A lot of matches between these two men throughout the years, both in singles and in tag team. They were opponents of blood and guts, and we'll recall, and they know each other quite well. But sometimes knowing each other can work against you.
Now raining down. Punches to the top of the cranium. The skull of the former AEW World Champion Jon Moxley.
Well, Moxley didn't come out of the corner, so again, Orange Cassidy goes right back in. Moxley, boy, Moxley is reeling now. Look at this.
Cassidy thinking about another 10.
Moxley tried to push him off that time, could not. Actually, Moxley looks like he cannot see. He's got his eyes closed.
30 unprotected fists to the skull of Moxley, who still hasn't moved out of the corner.
Cassidy. Banderas sent him on the outside, on the apron. Big drop, go! Cassidy hit hard, hit his elbow on the bottom of that safety rail, I do believe. And as you can tell, the lower back as well.
It's the lower back of Orange Cassidy that has troubled him, not just in this tournament, but ever since the international title was around his waist.
And right now, Moxley sending Orange Cassidy crashing into the steel steps. Just to get you caught up on our Continental Classic and which four men are going to go on to World's End in less than 48 hours. Earlier, Pac and Kevin Knight wrestled to a draw. Kyle Fletcher now has made it to the semifinals. Look at Jon Moxley just pound ahead of Orange Cassidy. Again, Kyle Fletcher's made it to the semis. Depending on who wins this match, one of these two men will go on to face Kyle Fletcher World's End. Now, if there's a draw here between Moxley and Orange Cassidy,
they'll tie with Claudio, because Claudio holds a victory over both men. He will go on the World's End. Neither will Orange Cassidy or Jon Moxley. So this, a match with a lot of stakes. Let's see what happens as Orange Cassidy firing back. Jaw is set. Hitting the ropes. Down goes Moxley. Running elbow right on target.
Cutting off Cassidy right underneath the jaw, I think it was the elbow. Stunning. The king of sloth style. Oh, now, if he was beleaguered going into this match, he is destitute at the moment. Ooh.
Hung up on the top. Moxley kicks him to knock him off. And now Moxley, I don't know what he's got planned, but it's, oh, brother, now I know. Vintage Jon Moxley, raking at the face. He does the eyes, the nose, rakes the back. Anything to punish his opponent.
And Cassidy now, who really has his back against the wall as Jon Moxley is eyeing those 3 points. That would take Moxley to a total of 9.
Oh, look at this little payback to Jon Moxley. Fingernails dug into the back, and the skin of Jon Moxley, who runs out to the corner or the middle and then gets a DDT from the top. Who will move on in the Blue League? Stay with us. We'll find out.
This is Christmas Collision. Tony and Nigel, and this Blue League match continues between Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley. So much riding on the line in this one-on-one matchup in the Continental Classic. Cassidy leading up against the ropes. You can see the pressure, Nigel, on both men.
Still everything to play for. Win and you are in.
This is Christmas Collision. Our 2.5-hour telecast continues on TNT and on HBO Max. Tony Schiavone, Nigel McGuinness watching the final Blue League match. Orange Cassidy's going to the pockets. Defiant.
Finds his strength and his loose change. And thus far in the match, Cassidy is at least not overtly focused on the injured leg.
10 minutes have gone by. 10 minutes remaining.
Halfway in through the match now. If it's win and you're in, it's draw and you're out the door.
Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, 2 men have punched their tickets already to World's End. Who will join them? We're going to find out in the next 2 matches. The drama that is the Continental Classic continues. Jon Moxley trying to shut off the pain. Look at Orange Cassidy, weary but getting to his feet.
It's not just the ankle, the knee. Oh,
there it is. The ankle, the orange punch. That's the moment. Orange Cassidy needs to cover him, but he cannot. Staggering up against the left side ropes.
Took too long, and that gave the former AEW World Champion time for a little bit of respite on the outside.
That was Orange Cassidy's moment, but maybe that is a tope suicida head first. Jon Moxley down, Orange Cassidy down once again. A time limit draw, double count out. Claudio Castagnoli will move on, and neither one of these men will have a shot at becoming Continental Champion. And they need to get in the ring.
If you're Jon Moxley, and you really are pro Death Riders, all he's got to do is make sure that Orange Cassidy doesn't beat him, and one of them's going through.
Once again, a double count out, and Bryce Remsburg being very lenient as, you know what, I don't blame him, should be.
Oh gosh, look at this.
But holy smokes, on the DDT on the ring bell. On the bell, on the table. And now they both may be out. And this is exactly what Claudio wants. Can the 2 men, or at least one, make it back to the ring? I'm not so sure.
The official back inside, beginning the count. Up to 2 now.
Oh, they're moving. And they're with purpose. Halfway here now, 10 count. There. Bryce Remsburg at 5 and 6.
Up to 6.
Look at him rolling, pushing. Oh, Jon Moxley can barely stand. 8. I think the first one in the ring's going to win this thing.
9. Cassidy's there. So Moxley.
They both make it back.
Well, they say every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. Both Moxley and Cassidy seemingly lost theirs, having to drag themselves back into the ring.
Attaboy, Nigel.
Always rely on me. But right now, though, who can be relied upon to join Takeshita atop the Blue League? Oh, no. Cassidy thought about a nip up, but the lower back.
I did.
Oh, he holds on.
John Moxley! Moxley waiting. You can see Moxley looking at him. And now he's got the Bulldog choke on.
Body scissors, but no, the escape came out.
1, 2. Cassidy's up, bounds up. A running foot into the sternum, maybe the face. Off goes the elbow pad. Here comes the punch. Look at the face of OC.
Moxley, spaghetti legged.
Boom! Moxley! Back up! Oh my God! Moxley came back with a crushing lariat.
And now the vicious, brutal Jon Moxley looking to end things for Orange Cassidy.
Got him up. Gut style pile driver coming up. Yes!
Oh.
1, 2. No! There's something left in OC. After all, Moxley, that's a face of frustration.
If Moxley is a face of frustration, you take a look at the face of Orange Cassidy. Desperation there. Pile driver landed right on top. Damage to the neck. Oh, wait a second, there it is. Hand fighting from Orange Cassidy to prevent the full rear naked choke. But with the body scissors on, it's going to be very hard for Cassidy to escape. But there we go. One way of doing it, fighting in the leg. Oh, the damage to the left ankle.
That's right. That ankle, of course.
5 minutes
that
remaining.
Kyle O'Reilly. We had 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes to go. Once again, a time limit draw puts Claudio in the semifinals.
And we saw Knight and Pac come to a draw earlier. Are we going to see another one here?
Step through, you'll go to the other side with a half crab. Jon Moxley. You see Bryce Remsburg face to face with him. Can Moxley survive it? Orange Cassidy trying to keep it in the center of the ring. Moxley desperately trying the bottom rope.
Well, with the damage to the lower back, Orange Cassidy is unable to really sit down deep with this. He has to keep upright a little more to protect his back. And
oh my God, a kick to the side of the head. And again, what an escape by Moxley. Hobbling up. Yes! The twisting, spinning DDT, but Moxley trying to get back to his feet after that.
Unable to put a lot of weight on the left knee and ankle.
Here comes the punch and connected. Moxley face first. Moxley trying to bounce back up. My God, he's up.
3.
Down he goes again. Moxley again on one leg. One freaking leg trying to stand up.
Forget about the orange punch. He needs some Christmas punch.
Another one, and Moxley still on his feet.
But being held up by the ropes.
Down he goes. Moxley on all fours. Orange Cassidy going to end it right now. Boom. Picks up Moxley for a beach break. Cover. 1, 2. Moxley's out in 2. Cassidy, I think, tried for a single crab or maybe an ankle lock.
Moxley rolls him out. 1, 2. It's over. It's over. Jon Moxley wins it.
Here's your winner, advancing to the semifinals at World's End, Jon Moxley!
What a fight! What determination by both men! Jon Moxley moves on.
Let's take another look at the updated scorecard now. You can see leading the pack to Takeshita, but joining him in the semi-finals, Jon Moxley with 9 points. Moxley will face the winner of the Gold League, Takeshita, the second-place competitor.
What a matchup this was. Jon Moxley obviously very fired up and a very disappointed Orange Cassidy. Still to come our main event, Kazuchika Okada against Speedball. Mike Bailey on Christmas Collision.
New Year's Eve, AEW closes out the year with a bang.
Do you want to get nuts?
Get your party started with Dynamite New Year's Smash, live at 8 on TV.
Speedball said that he will be trying to avoid that at all costs.
And his opponent from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, weighing 177 pounds, Speedball, Mike Bailey!
Let's take a look at how the Gold League looks now as we go into our final match. We can see, as we just said, Fletcher leading the pack with 9. Who, though, will he be joined by? Fellow Don Callis family member Kazuchika Okada? Or will it be Speedball Mike Bailey, the dark horse of the Gold League?
Let me say this. Let me try to clarify everything as best I can. A win by Speedball Mike Bailey. He wins the Gold League. Fletcher would be the runner-up. A win by Okada puts him in as the runner-up, and Fletcher would be the winner. A draw will have a 4-way tie and a 4-way playoff coming up at World's End. Then the winner of that has to wrestle a semifinal match and then a championship match.
So let me translate.
Please.
It's a win-win-win situation for the Don Callis family. Any way to shake it. I love it. I feel like Santa's just emptied his bag right in my house, and I've just got all the gifts already.
Lumps of coal for you, Don Callis. Here we go.
You can see Mike Bailey wearing a Grinch-themed outfit here into this match. Trying to take the Christmas presents away from you, Don.
Well, Mike Bailey and I don't get along. That's very clear. Having said that, he is a great wrestler, and he's in the ring with maybe the greatest of all time, Kazuchika Okada. Look at this.
Pull up 1, 2. And a leg dive. 1, 2. 2 count on that side. Pick up. Over the top. 1, 2. Spin.
Now, Nigel, I think Okada's like a cobra, you know. He's very cool, calm, and collected. Resting heart rate never goes above 50 in there. But all of a sudden, he goes from point A to point B like a bolt of lightning. Very impressive.
He's vicious. Like a viper, a cobra, poised to strike. And that Rainmaker lariat just as effective.
Into the midsection of fans, we do want to also acknowledge. We'll do it during this match, but right now, duck, pick up. Bailey turns it around. 1, 2. Okada was fighting out of that time, but he did get out. Look at that drop kick. And Okada's on the outside. Now Bailey, almost predictably, is going to try to hit on the outside with a pump kick. Okada's down. Bailey's not done. Up top.
Whoa. Takes a few more risks like that, he might be. That one paid off, but...
And I'll tell you that is one of the most difficult maneuvers to do in professional wrestling. What he just did, the fact that he did it, Mike Bailey, with no shoes on, makes it that much more exponentially difficult.
The fourth dan black belt in Taekwondo says that not wearing shoes gives him a better feel for the ropes, for the ring.
Missing that time, Bailey stumbled through, got up. Face planted that time by Okada. He's showing a little bit of pain on his left shoulder. Congratulations, and we'll all celebrate this. The good people at Sports Illustrated gave 10 wrestling awards to All Elite Wrestling, including the Promotion of the Year and Show of the Year, which was Double or Nothing 2025. And that just goes, this is a neck breaker. Let's just show you the men and women who fight each and every week to get this show on the air. One, deserve each and every award. We've got a lot of people backstage in our truck that work hard each and every week to bring our shows from one side to the other.
Certainly is an incredible outfit.
Yes, sir. We'll be going to Australia in 2026, bringing that great crew with us. And I guess Don Callis is included in that.
Well, I've got two of the best Australians to ever do it, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis. I'm very excited.
Up on top, we do have a match now that Tony Khan has just given us. He is signed for World's End. We'll get that here. Watch out! Missile drop kick from the top. It'll be a Mixed Nuts Mayhem match coming up this coming Saturday.
Took those knees right in the short ribs there. Very painful.
The official up to 5 now.
Bailey is not going to take a count out and win. He's going to the attack. Maybe this is a mistake. Look at this.
Pride comes before the fall. Speedball Mike Bailey, in my mind, a rare miscalculation. Perhaps you could understand it. I don't think that Okada would have made that 10 count.
We'll never know because Mike Bailey made a choice.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
But now Bailey has the chance. He has to capitalize. He wanted to beat Okada in the center of the ring. Oh, don't play with him.
Yeah, do not do that.
5 minutes remaining.
Uh-oh.
Well, there he goes. He realizes.
Yes, sir.
Oh, he got caught.
He's got a slide. No. Bailey escaped. He didn't escape, too.
He's maintained wrist control.
Yes, he is. He wiped him out with a rainmaker. He's going to do it again, apparently. No, Bailey fires back. Thrust kick to the throat. Here comes Bailey. Boom.
Ooh, that landed.
Mike Bailey quickly
went down hard.
Under 5 minutes to go. Under 5 minutes to go. There it is.
That might be it.
There it is. 1, 2. Oh. But
Did not have the shoulders firmly pressed down.
Speedball Mike Bailey was a mere second away. Here it comes. The Flamingo. No.
Okada hits the ropes. Bailey rolls him out. 1, 2. No. Oh, barely escaping. It was Okada ducked. Okada ducked. Rainmaker. No. It was blocked. It was blocked.
This is how he beat Kyle Fletcher. No, he didn't.
1, 2, 3. It's Okada. It's Okada. It's Okada.
Advancing to the semifinals at World's End, the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada.
Big smile on his face.
Christmas came early, Shivani.
You know what that means, don't you, Don?
Christmas Day.
That means it's Okada to Takeshita in the semifinals.
What it is the Don Callis family in the semifinals, and that makes me happy.
The other semifinal will be Kyle Fletcher and Jon Moxley. What a night it's going to be. Less than 48 hours away this Saturday.
Wow, that is a match that the world has wanted to see.
Absolutely.
They're going to get it at World's End.
Semi-final matches, championship match. Okada a chance to defend his Continental Championship, but he must go through Takeshita in the semis.
Well, speak of the devil.
Holy smokes.
The Alpha. In his IWGP title. The match.
Applauding.
Oh, we are going to see it. You can taste it. You can feel it. And at World's End, you will see it.
Incredibly, in the Continental Classic in the semifinals. Okada, Takeshita, the winner will go on to face the winner of Kyle Fletcher and Jon Moxley, top to bottom. What a night it's going to be, and what a great night it's been. 2 nights, and Merry Christmas from all of us at AEW.